The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
You know, it seems like a lot of people misunderstand Fight Club. They think that Tyler Durden's the hero and that throw off your repressive shackles of modern society with violence and anger and destruction. And no, God no, that's not what Fight Club's about. Fight Club's really about how many people will manipulate you to give you a sense of identity, even though it's no more valid or it's honestly more empty than the one you had before. And how, honestly, no matter what you do, people tend to not ask questions why you're doing it. But I more bring up Fight Club not to talk about Fight Club, funny, but more to bring up duality in fiction. It's a common occurrence throughout many a medium, many a genre, whether it be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Clark Kent, Superman, or Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Duality in fiction is a great tool to kind of like show counterpoints or like differences or how we're all really the same, man, and it's kind of a neat thing, and I like it. And there's actually a good bit of it in Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, a season that I consider a really top-notch and great season of Kamen Rider. So I'm gonna talk about it, how duality is in the heroes and some of the villains, and well, starting with some of the side characters. Important side characters, but side characters nonetheless. These two characters being Hiro and Taiga. Hiro being the clean-cut, classic doctor look, and Taiga being, well, anything but, and a little bit of blackjack. No, not the game, the character. Look, it's weird. But looking at them, you see some very obvious differences. Hiro's clean-cut, classic doctor, suit, tie, the whole 9 yards. Taiga is, well, punk. A militant punk, a little bit, full of like edgy colors and unique shapes. It's kind of fun. Even if you look at like their kind of sidekick background characters, well, I don't want to say completely sidekick background characters, it's just more like that's kind of their role within the story, and even though one of them gets greatly expanded, I'm just going with Taiga. You have Nico, who's kind of streetwear and light and bubbly, young girl, just kind of following around. Again, enforcing that kind of blackjack comparison, because she's kind of like a person he healed and now just kind of takes care of. A lot of kind of neat things there. But with Hiro, he has a couple of nurses, classic style nurses with the whole dress thing, you know, just more parallels, more showing that they're different. And that just continues on with their personality, with Taiga being very quick to anger, very hot-headed, and Hiro being the exact opposite, calm, collected, to the point where he seems almost cold, like he doesn't care about anything, which for the most part he doesn't, until, you know, the hero makes him feel things. These guys also kind of resemble a classic anime trope, anime archetype called the red and blue Oni, one being very hot-headed, one being very calm, usually pitted against each other to kind of balance each other out. But, you know, that's just a cool little parallel, some neat little, like, background details. It's not really getting into some meat, you know? It's fluff. That's some seasoning. That's some garnish on top. We need some meat. We need some meat on these bones. So, let's look at the villain. Now, the villains of Ex-Aid are fun and fascinating, but I specifically want to talk about Dan Kuroto and his father. See, they have a very distinct dynamic, and it's not just father-son. Dan is an auteur, a creator. He's a writer, a conceptual creatus. He's an artist. His father, though, isn't. His father's a corporate capitalist. These two people are diametrically opposed because one just wants to create things for the sake of creation and one wants to create things for profit. However, both these characters have a form of madness about the creation. Dan wants to create for creation's sake without care or regard to anybody else, but his father, he wants to create the thing and enforce it in order to take control. He doesn't care about people's lives, but not in the same way Dan does. He doesn't care about people's lives because they're meaningless. They don't make him any money. So why not force them to make him money by putting him into a death game that they have to keep buying to play? You know, makes sense if you want to make money. But that's not the only dynamic with the villains. You gotta remember, Dan goes through a very heavy and very distinct character shift throughout the show, to the point where you can call the early Dan and the late Dan two different characters, which I will. So the first Dan we have is who he thinks he has to be within society. The second Dan, Shin Dan, which I'm going to call him from now on because saying Dan over and over again is going to get dangerous. Alright, I'll see my... But Shin Dan is who he actually is. These are both sides of an artist. Dan is the artist who feels he has to restrain some of his art for it to be palatable to the mass audience, while Shin Dan doesn't give a fuck. He just does whatever he wants. If he just wants to come out of a pipe and say, hey, I ain't dead yet, he will. It's fun. It's great. He's God. It's amazing. Also, post-human. Dan turns into an AI. Dan killed himself and turned himself into a post-human immortal being. Okay, we're doing that in kids television. With the extra lives, he becomes immortal, and also adds some elements to the techno and medical side of this techno video game medical drama. Why the hell do I love this show so much? I don't know. But these two versions of Dan show that there's a lot of constraint with modern society that an artist may go through, and it can turn someone a little kooky, so to speak. But we've talked a lot of Duality and a lot of other characters, and I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, no, I'm not. It's the next one in the script. The main character, the main important people to the plot and progress of this story, Emu and Parrot. These are two aspects of one man separated to show the dichotomy of a single soul. Emu is the work, the ethic, the want to strive for the goal. It's optimism and a hope in the tomorrow. And altruism, the idea that what you do should benefit as many people as you possibly can. Well, Parrot is fun. He doesn't care about work. He just wants to have fun, play games, and be frivolous. He's pessimistic. He sees the worst in the world and in society and doesn't care. But he's also objectivist. He believes that might makes right. That because he is strong, he can impose his will on others. Emu kinda takes offense to that. But also, similar to Fight Club, they are two sides to one character. One being a lighter mentality to it and one being darker. The difference to Fight Club is not that the darker side kinda takes over and kinda technically wins at the end, is that the lighter side basically proves him wrong. That, working for others is good, and being kind is kind of a cool thing. He shows this by basically putting Parrot through his own paces, showing him that, not caring about other people's, it kinda sucks for the other people. Only by showing empathy or forcing empathy on Parrot does Emu show these darker parts that he can become whole, that this is not needed. Also in the designs, there's a lot of dual imagery. Specifically, Emu has an outer shell of a professional, the white jacket specifically, but an inner motif of innocence, t-shirt, jeans, sneakers, that whole kind of thing. But also, it's yellow. A lot of his clothing are yellow in color. It's very interesting, especially when you remember that Parrot, is his opposite, is his counterpoint. Parrot is in black, an opposite to white, and in purple, the opposite color on the color wheel to yellow. As casual can be, to counterpoints Emu's slight professionalism. These choices show that they are opposites but related, including Parrot's use of cables to show an idea of interconnectivity. But it's also nice to see that a favorite game type of Emu's, a fighting game, also becomes Parrot's main form of combat. And Emu's current favorite game that we see him play all the time is a puzzle game. Parrot's other main form of combat. Duality isn't a major theme within the show, but it is a underlying structural motif that's used to kind of show different points of view, specifically different points of view within the major themes of the show. It shows that no man is ever truly good, no man is ever truly evil. We just do the best we can, and for that we'll never be equal. Ex-Aid is about purpose. Ex-Aid is about people. And these characters are taking extremes to accomplish a goal in life, whether this be a calm demeanor to accomplish surgery or an aggressive demeanor in order to tackle things head on, whether it be art for art's sake or art for profit's sake, or the duality of hiding yourself in order to be more presentable, or optimism and pessimism, altruism and objectivism. These characters showcase extremes to show that no one way can accomplish a goal, and that we must figure ourselves out, figure out who we are in order to move forward, in order to fix the problems that are ahead of us, and ultimately, well, win the game called life. So, I've been gone for a little bit. IRL shit took some place. But, hey, I'm back on this dumb horse. I have a podcast. 2 podcasts now. This is fun. On the Modular Media channel, we have Analytical Fanboys, podcast I've been on, and we have officially made Modular Media Wrestling Podcast a more permanent fixture. Every month we're going to talk about the previous month's worth of wrestling that we watched, whether that be WWE, pay-per-views, indie shows, news that seems relevant or non-negative. We don't want to talk about, like, we talk about negative and like, oh man, we didn't like this show, but like, you know what I'm talking about. A couple other different podcasts are in the pipeline and working. One of them I'm not... Oh, no, we already announced it. One of them is basically journey through Doctor Who, variety of old episodes. I'm going to be there as the curmudgeon who doesn't like Doctor Who anymore, so that's going to be fun. D&D podcast is a little bit more up and running. We've been recording some episodes, and I'm going to be uploading one of them here, so watch that if you want. Remember to do the YouTube stuff, you know, like, subscribe, comment, engage with the algorithm, engage with the almighty algorithm, share this if you want. Hopefully, next video won't take so long, and I am damn close to 500 subscribers, so when that happens, probably just do like a video game live stream, play maybe like SMT or something. That'll be fun. So, till next time.